And is my Wi-Fi okay? Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Once again, I would like to welcome you all on Youth and Karbala's series that we've been having during the past couple of days during these Ayam Aza. And I would like to extend my heartfelt condolences to you all on the martyrdom of the Master of Martyrs, Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا الحسين عليه السلام. So there's this, question that should pop up in everybody's mind right now. We cannot ignore the fact that, this year, the past couple of months have been very devastating and very much painful for the Muslim Ummah. We've been witnessing the obstacles, the conundrums, the atrocities that we saw, in Palestine and in Gaza, and of course, the fact that it went on for several months and is still ongoing is really devastating because if we think about it, being from a Muslim community, being from the Muslim Ummah, what have we done? What stands have we taken to support not only the people of Palestine, but to actually bring a solution? And, Karbala, when we look into Karbala, what was Karbala? Karbala was an event that was filled with atrocities and oppression. And if someone will say that, what we're seeing right now in Gaza is different than what happened in Karbala 1,400 years back, then, it's a pity and it's a shame because, it's probably because the person doesn't know much about Karbala, didn't hear about it in his lifetime, or is simply not willing to accept the actual reality that took place in Karbala. So, the question is that is Gaza today the modern Karbala? The answer can be yes, the answer can be no, the answer can be maybe. Because, if one wants to really define truly that whatever happened back in Karbala, can it be justified? And whatever happened is happening today in Gaza, can that be justified as well? It depends from a person's belief, from a person's intellectual level, from a person's spiritual level. So there are a lot of aspects that come into play. So if I were to talk about, all the Muslims around the world, for example, it's not just the people of Gaza, I would say, who are suffering. It's the Palestinians, it's the Muslim Palestinians, and then of course, if we categorize it, it's both the type of Muslims. So it's even the Shias and also the Sunnis, right? So you see, this is how we tend to then dissect about whether, if I want to say that, is Gaza the modern Karbala of today or not. First and foremost, we need to acknowledge that Karbala was real and that whatever happened is not acceptable. Whatever happened to Imam Hussein alayhi salam and the Masumeen and the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam is absolutely unacceptable. So the day when you acknowledge that whatever happened in Karbala was a true oppression, that's the day when you can actually come up and stand and say that whatever is happening today in Gaza is wrong, and it's whatever is happening is happening because of the oppressive forces, right? So that is why it is very important to understand the foundation and the basic roots of our ideologies and our mindset. That's the first thing where we need to start off from. तो हम जानते हैं कि 1400 साल से ज़्यादा अरसे पहले इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम और इनके ख़ानदान और मुखलिस मुसलमानों के एक छोटे से गिरोह को यजीद की फ़ौज ने कत्ल कर दिया था। और ये बात तकरीबन तमाम मुसलमानों के लिए समझी और सराही जाती है कि इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम और इनके साथी हक के लिए खड़े हुए थे। तो इसी तरह से जैसे आज हम जब गज़ा की सिचुएशन देख रहे हैं और जिस तरह से तमाम दुनिया भर के जो लोग हैं वो हक की आवाज़ का साथ देना चाह रहे हैं, उठाना चाह रहे हैं, तो उस वक्त भी यही सिचुएशन थी उस टाइम में जब करबला का वाक़या था, जबकि यजीदी फ़ौज इस्लाम में हर वो चीज़ की नुमाइंदगी करती थी जो काबिल मज़म्मत है। तो आज हम क्या देख रहे हैं कि जिस तरह से गज़ा के जो हालात हैं, जिस तरह से वो हमारे नज़रों के सामने अनफोल्ड हो रहे हैं, फिर भी उसके बावजूद भी क्यों जो मुस्लिम उम्मत है वो साथ नहीं दे पा रही सॉल्यूशन के लिए, क्यों हम लोग एक पेज पे अभी तक नहीं आ रहे? इट्स बिकॉज़ हमारे जो इतने फ़िरक़े मौजूद हैं, हमारी जो मुख्तलिफ़ आइडियोलॉजीज़ हैं और हमारे अभी तक जो आपस में जो इंटरनल हमारे जो छोटे मोटे ऐसे प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, उनको जो है अभी तक हम लोग दिल में लेकर बैठे हुए हैं और उसकी वजह से हम लोग आगे नहीं बढ़ रहे। जिस दिन जो है हमें एहसास हो जाएगा और जिस दिन हमें रियलाइजेशन हो जाएगी इस बात की कि करबला में जो वाक़यात हुए वो गलत थे, क्योंकि वो जुल्म सितम हुआ था इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम और उनकी आल पर, और ये बात हम लोग एग्री नहीं करें कि यजीद ने जो हरकत की थी और जो काम किया था वो इट वाज लाइक न्यूट्रल, and that Yazid should not be blamed for whatever happened because Yazid had no choice. He was the ruler at that time, तो उसका पूरा हक बनता था और फ़र्ज़ बनता था कि वो इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम को रोके। और जहाँ तक हम लोग हदीस भी जब पढ़ते हैं तो इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम का जो असल मकसद था वो क्या था? वो हम कौम की इस्लाह था। और इस्लाह का मतलब क्या होता है? इस्लाह जो है कम्युनिटी के हवाले से हो सकती है, इस्लाह जो है जो गलत काम हो रहे होते हैं सोसाइटी में उनके ख़िलाफ़ जो है आवाज़ उठाना और उस चीज़ को ख़त्म करना। तो अम्र बिल मारूफ़ और नही अनिल मुनकर इसमें आता है। तो इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम को पता था कि यजीद जो पैगाम पहुंचाना चाह रहा था मुसलमानों को उस वक्त वो गलत था, बिकॉज़ वो जो असल मैसेज जो रसूल खुदा का था उसको वो बदल रहा था, फैब्रिकेट कर रहा था, और जो गलत चीज़ें थीं उसको वो नॉर्मलाइज करने की कोशिश कर रहा था। और अगर इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम उस वक्त आवाज़ नहीं उठाते इस गलत काम के ख़िलाफ़, तो आज जो दीन इस्लाम की जो बका हम देख रहे हैं वो बाकी नहीं रहती, और हम तक इस्लाम जो सच्चा असल इस्लाम है उसकी जो टीचिंग्स हैं, उसकी जो तालीम है वो हम तक शायद नहीं पहुंचती। तो this is something that we really need to ponder upon, that what is really less understood and appreciated are the striking parallels between the tragedy of Karbala and the present day plight of Palestinians, especially in Gaza. Because for Muslims it should have been easier to make the connection. After all, the Palestinians in Gaza are besieged by who? By the Zionist invaders, right? So, if we even talk about what had happened during the time of Rasulullah and Imam Ali alayhi salam, we had a group which was called the Kharijis, right? Who were these Kharijis? So they were similar to what the Zionists are doing today. Is the Zionist system that is ongoing and is trying their level best to, get to the minds of the Muslims and not let us really follow our faith and uphold on the principles of Islam. Once upon a time, there's this story that we read. It's a very nice one, and it has a very captivating message that Imam Ali alayhi salam, it says in a hadith, in a riwayat, that Imam Ali alayhi salam, had so much knowledge, and had so much knowledge about, all the right things, all the teachings. He had all the knowledge in the world. But at the same time, uh, it was also said that, Shaitan knew all the wrong things as well against the teachings and the education of Imam Ali alayhi salam, meaning that all the knowledge that Imam Ali alayhi salam had, Shaitan was already well aware. Okay, that Imam Ali has this much knowledge, and whatever he's going to pass on to his followers, I should also know my strategy in how to divert his followers. So you see, what we're seeing over here is that, the enemy was so smart. Like, Shaitan is very smart in whatever he does, and he knows his strategies, he has his tools, and he knows how to divert people from the path of the righteousness. So, we shouldn't be surprised as well sometimes in these things, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created opposites in the world, right? There is good, there is bad, there is night, there is day. And so similarly, there is the truth, and then there is the falsehood, the haq and the batil. And then, of course, there is the good one, the person who wants to stand up for justice, and the one who is the oppressor, the transgressor. So this is how, the world has been designed. So similarly, we should know more about our enemies, because if I want to, you know succeed in a war, okay, there's a war, but if I don't know the strategies of my opponent, if I don't know that what are the weak points and the strengths of my opponent, how am I going to target my opposite army, and how am I going to fight against them, right? So you need to know the tactics of the other team that you want to fight against. So, like, similarly, when we even see in football matches, sometimes, for example, just I'm giving an example that, if Liverpool wants to score better than Manchester United, so Liverpool needs to know the weak points of Manchester United. They need to study that how the players play on the field. How is the defender playing? The goal scorer, how does he attack, or how does he kick the ball, and all of that. So they need to be very smart in understanding which player has what quality, and then based on that they will be able to attack a certain player. So in that way they can score better points. So it's very important to know how our enemy's mind works in this era. It's very important not to be just negligent and ignorant, and just, okay, we are living our lives, and one is not like होशियार about के दुश्मन जो है उसकी सोच क्या है, उसकी क्या स्ट्रेटजीज हैं, ये हमें नहीं पता होता, और हम लोग जो अपनी लाइव्स जो है बिल्कुल नॉर्मली ऐसे जी रहे होते हैं. So that is also not correct. Now, as in Karbala, so in Gaza, Muslims have been virtually abandoned by the rest of the Ummah. And we're seeing that because, in fact, regimes surrounding Palestine that are ruled by so-called Muslim rulers have become willing accomplices in tormenting Muslims. And we are witnessing, the first anniversary of the Zionist attack on Gaza. We witnessed all of that, yet the siege, the killing, and oppression continue. So Palestinians cannot even rebuild the homes that were destroyed by Israeli bombings, much less than shattered lives. And it is very important for Muslims to make the connection and understand the lessons of history. Otherwise, we will be condemned to repeat them. As Muslims, we will really be condemned to repeat these mistakes over and over again. And, if you really think about it from a philosopher's view, or someone who really is a person who wants to seek justice in life, we are seeing Karbala every day in our lives. It is not just surrounded in a place like Gaza. No, wherever there is a minority, wherever around the world a minority exists where you're not given your rights, wherever you are being oppressed, that is a Karbala to begin with. Even in Pakistan, if I talk about the Shias who are living in minority, who have been killed, who are being killed, because we mourn during Muharram, we do our azadari just because we are Shias. We are disliked and killed and all of that. What is this? This is also injustice, right? It is a system filled with injustice. Talk about people who are in Saudi Arabia, the minority Shias who live in the areas of Qatif, and Bahrain. People are, being martyred on a daily basis, and sometimes we don't even get to know about it because the news is hidden. They're beheaded, they're tortured, and nobody really gets to know what has happened to their lives and to their family members. Again, what is this? This is the modern Karbala. So Karbala has never ended. Karbala has always been there. Let me also highlight another point. When we talk about being a slave in this world, if I think it from a perspective, let me give you this perspective. Back in history, we used to, when read stories, okay, that during the Arabian era and during the Qurayshi era and all, there were these certain slaves that were brought, and they were chained and everything, slaves brought from Abyssinia and all of that. So at least, we used to know that, okay, these were slaves. Why? Because we could see the visible chains, yeah, when they were like tied up with chains, or the way they were dressed up in those clothes, and they're working hard, so one would acknowledge the fact that ये गुलाम हैं. लेकिन आज का जो गुलाम है, आज का जो गुलाम है, someone who is even sitting, for example, in a BMW car, okay, is a slave, is a ghulam, just that you cannot see the chains. And I'll tell you why. Because this person is loaded with a lot of tension in his life. He's got debts, he's got loans, he's got, a lot of financial pressure on his head. He doesn't have time for his family. Maybe he has some problems back at home with his wife. Maybe the children are, I don't know, abroad, and they are lost in their lives. They don't talk to this person. Maybe they don't talk to this parent. There's nobody to actually even care about this person, and this person is busy running in their lives just to make this income. And it's just like that wheel, that cycle that you are just running onto, yeah, like that hamster. So you are a slave in that way if you don't have mental peace in your life, and if you don't have the values that you want to instill upon in your lives, things that genuinely make you happy, like the smallest of things that give you happiness. If you cannot afford all of that, then of course you are a slave of yourself, to yourself, in this world. So you have to think again that if you really want to be freed from the slavery of the world, then you have to follow the path of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Because what did Imam Hussein do? All those people who are present in Karbala, the best example is of Janabe Hur, when he was like in the middle. He couldn't make a decision that what should I choose. There's I'm of course supporting the army of Yazid. He had no choice. He was ordering the commands of Omar ibn Saad. And on the other side, he was seeing the tent of Imam Hussein, where Imam Hussein is praising Allah and praying his namaz, and ready to welcome her. And her said that मैं बिल्कुल ऐसा मुझे लग रहा है जैसे मैं जहन्नुम और जन्नत के दरमियान हूँ, लाइक मैं बीच में हूँ, और मुझे फैसला क्या करना है मुझे नहीं पता. So that was the time when Imam Hussein pulled him towards him and attracted him, and with the message of Allah. And that's how Janabi Hur, he chose the right path. And what happened then? He became free in this world and in the hereafter. तो इमाम हुसैन ने उनको इस दुनिया से वो अल्टीमेट आज़ादी दिला दी. दैट इज़ द रियल फ्रीडम जो एक मुसलमान के दिल में जिस चीज़ की ख्वाहिश होनी चाहिए. दिस इज़ द एक्चुअल फ्रीडम, to be freed from all the heavy chains of this world that lead one down. I just want to share a very beautiful example set by Imam Hussein, from his life, how he has encouraged a lot of individuals. Of course, they're around the world, but certain one two individuals, whose life really transformed and changed just because of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. There's a very famous professor by the name of Professor Idris Husseini. He was a Christian professor, and he was from Maghreb, meaning from Morocco originally, who initially wrote against Islam. So he was an author and he wrote a lot of books against Islam, and then eventually converted after researching the key events in Islamic history. So he researched the event of Ghadir and Saqifa, and he said, okay, first he converted to just being a normal Muslim, but then when he read Ghadir and when he read specifically about Karbala is when he converted to becoming a Shia. And he wrote this book which is very famous. You can even Google it, you can find it. The book is titled as لقد شيعني Hussein, that Hussein made me Shia. So imagine this person, he almost lived for like 99 years in his life. He was that old, and he said that this is the result of my life. I am leaving it after this book, which really inspired me, and has transformed my life, that I believe Hussein is the actual success in this life, and is should be the destiny of each and every mu'min in this world. So this is such a beautiful example. Why? Because sometimes me and you, we can think that, oh, I'm such a gunahgar person. I've committed so many sins, and how can I go and attend these majalises? Imam Hussein will never forgive me, and I will. What's the like? It's not worth it. What's the use of doing all this azadari and everything? But you see, we just don't know which moment can transform your life, your ever after. Even a last minute change just like that of her can change one's afterlife, one's kismat, one's destiny completely. So never give up on this ideology, on this thinking. One should have a very positive mind, and that hope in themselves. And also, there are some essential tips for transformation that I would like to share with everybody. And actually, I was attending this lecture by Dr. Zakira Masuma Jafri, where she mentioned these humble points, essential tips for transformation, that, if one wants to transform themselves in this life, what are some of the changes that one can use? So she said, number one is yaqeen, belief, the conviction that one can change at any moment if they truly desire to. So if someone like me, and you really want to transform ourselves, like if I really want Allah to forgive me, and I want to become a good person, I'm really trying, because I know that I've done some mistakes in the past. Every human does some mistakes in the past, and now they just want to improve themselves. Each day is a new day, and we can learn. So first thing is to have belief. That's very important. Number two is basirat, meaning awareness. Some people, they don't have that basirat. For example, when we see what happened in Kufa, we hear that how Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad literally dressed up like Imam Ali. He covered his face, and that's how he entered into Kufa and deceived the people of Kufa by saying that I am the supporter of Imam Ali and I'm the supporter of Imam Hussein. And instead of buying gold, he bought swords from them, like, weapons to kill Imam Hussein. Now look at the basirat of the people of Kufa, that they didn't recognize him. They didn't recognize Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, that he's the enemy. They believed him. Why? Because of the way he was dressed. He was dressed just like the Hashims. He was dressed just like Imam Ali and Imam Hussein and Imam Hassan. So because of that, they thought that this is a good person, and they believed him while he was a deceiver. So basirat is very important for me and you today as well. We see a lot of people around us, but do we really know that, are they, really their intentions are clear, and are they really true, on the path of God or not? Someone who is just, for example, giving all these Islamic, speeches and lectures, and just wearing the proper hijab and everything, do you really like know if this person is actually like this in real life, in reality? How is their akhlaq? How do they deal with other people in their home surroundings, in their work areas, and in their schools or whatever? These are some things that one has to also think about. Then the third point is methods. That learning the ways to change oneself, often through the teachings and inspiration from the legacy of Imam Hussein and from majalises. So, these majalises, first of all, are for everybody. Anybody who goes to these majalises truly changes. His life transforms. When you go to these majalises, it's just like how when a patient wants to go to a hospital when you are ill, and how you are treated and you come back and you are now all refreshed, right? So Majlis Hussein is the same. This is a beautiful environment where when you go, you automatically feel a great change within you. And drops of golden knowledge every day really transform a person. So there is that ghaibi madad that they say. And at the same time, you also have to put in your own efforts. So number 4 point is leadership, following a guide or leader without ego. uh, there are some leaders who you will notice who have a lot of pride and ego in them. They're very egoistic sometimes, and they think they're the best. And so we need to be very careful when it comes to this. Arrogancy is a no-no. One should really be very cautious. The moment when they reach that level of egoism, that egoistic attitude, is when you really need to slow down yourself and remind yourself your true roots and where you actually are coming from. I've seen a lot of people, who really boast and, really have that very arrogant nature and attitude, and it can really put some people off. And such type of people are really not appreciated in the society. So no matter how famous you become, no matter how huge and big you become, always remember to be humble in your life. And the last part is efforts, meaning the necessity of putting in consistent and sincere efforts to achieve personal and spiritual transformation. So, sometimes it happens is that when, for example, if I'm not praying namaz, I'm just giving an example, or if I'm not reciting the Quran, and, I'm expecting that a wahi will come, and, that ghaibi madad should come and, just automatically make me pray the namaz and automatically make me recite the Quran. But this is something which is impossible, right? Because I have to put in that effort by myself. I need to move. I need to do that physical movement. I need to mentally and spiritually, talk to myself and tell myself that I have to do this. So, I have to get out from my bed. For example, if I'm sleeping, I have to do my wudu and, get on the prayer mat. And then, God will help you. Then you will get that ghaibi madad from Allah, and then every day gradually you will, set a routine. You'll become punctual, and you will feel that namaz should be a part of my life. And if any day, then if you miss out, then you feel in your heart that, oh, today I've missed out my prayers, oh, like that. So this was an example, a practical example. There are lots of things in our lives that of course we can work and improve on. I myself, I'm not saying I'm the best and I'm a saint. Of course, I've got my we all lack in a lot of areas as well. But the least we can do is to put in that effort and try as much as possible, keeping our intentions pure. So, inshallah, if we do these things, this is a change that you and I need to bring from within ourselves. And so, that is the point when you really want to stand for justice, and to fight against the oppression around the world, is when you become a strong Husseini, when you become a strong intellectual and, spiritual person. That's when you know what is right, what is wrong, and you are able to fight against the injustice which is existing in today's life. Just last few points that the world has been watching Palestine and everything in silence. And a people who are defenseless, innocent, and outpowered and outgunned are being attacked and killed. It's very devastating. We've been seeing this. Worse excuses are being made for the killers because the victim is being blamed and the murdered has brought it upon him. So when we just question about this, okay, is that, can it be termed a war if only one side does all the killing? Nothing has been done to provoke the aggressor, yet it remains provoked because it wants to be provoked because it can. So we've seen innocent women and children murdered in cold blood. You think about it again and let's go back to Karbala. Didn't this happen in Karbala as well? How the women were tormented, how these were the women of the Hashmi family, like they never came out from their homes, and yet their veils were snatched from their heads and they were beaten and tortured. So again, we see a connection. And even before the killing takes place, the apologists have the script ready today. The politicians whom we see, sounds familiar, all of this, does it not? Didn't Yazid already plan all of this before he committed all those sins? Didn't he already like script it out? Of course he did. He had a full-on strategy. So we sometimes just forget that the situation that we're seeing today had already taken place 1400 years back. And today, the only thing that we are lacking as Muslims is the fact that we are all not on one page and we are not acknowledging what happened in Karbala. If we agree, all of us, and if we are on the same page, and if we support and stand united, then that's the day when the Muslim Ummah will be successful against the true oppressors of Islam today. So inshallah, we try to implement these things within us, and we pray that someday inshallah all those minorities around the world who are suffering, be it in Palestine, be it in Gaza, be it in Pakistan, be it in Kashmir, be it in Saudi Arabia, be it in I don't know, there are so many places around the world. It could be Lebanon, it could be even Congo, Sudan, Yemen. We pray for them, inshallah, that someday they get their true freedom, their actual freedom, in the name and for the sake of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, who was known as Abul Ahrar, the father of the free ones, right? So he is the one who is going to free everybody from this zulm and sitam that we are living in. Inshallah, thank you so much for tuning, and may we remember each other in du'as. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.